and welcome to Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable, where I discuss the future of this region, blessed humongously with hydrocarbon resources. Every week, we give time to reflecting on topics relevant to the development of the Niger-Delta and her people. Now, this edition is no different, as I'm here once again to focus on how to take the region to a more promising future. Be reminded, the program is sponsored by the operator of the NNPC SPDC Total Energies Achib joint venture, the Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria Limited, headquartered in Port Harcourt. Thank you for joining. I'm Ade Dayo in Lushakin. The topic for this episode of Canvas is toilets, a place for peace. Yes, you heard right. In this episode, we delve into an essential yet often overlooked topic: toilets. World Toilet Day is observed annually, November 19. Now, this year's theme is Toilets, Place for Peace. And it highlights the profound impact that proper sanitation has on our lives and communities. Toilets are not just about hygiene, they are about dignity, safety, and peace of mind. Now, join us as we explore stories from around us, hear from an expert, and learn how access to clean and safe toilets can transform lives. Let's celebrate the progress we've made and discuss the challenges that still lie ahead in ensuring everyone, everywhere, has access to this basic human right. Stay tuned for an enlightening and inspiring program. Yes, toilets can be inspiring. Again, the topic on this episode is toilets, place for peace. And my guest is Tarela Kia. Now, Tarela Kia is an environmental biologist. She's a passionate advocate of environmental sustainability and has worked over the years in the area of advocacy and environmental conservation. Tarela Kia, hi, welcome to Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh, it is great to have you here as well. And I hope you don't mind that I brought you on the show this episode to discuss a matter that many might consider to be pedestrian, unnecessary, inappropriate, maybe even. Toilets. I hope you don't mind.
I don't mind. It is a great pleasure to be here to discuss this matter because it's a matter that is very important and mostly underserved.
Underserved.
Yes.
I mean, how important can toilets be, really? I mean, they're toilets, right? I mean, they're supposed to be things that we don't give thought to because of the business that takes place there. It's gross, it's dirty, it's smelly, it's better left forgotten in many instances. Nobody wants to go in there after most people. Why should it be a matter of discussion in the first place?
It's a matter of discussion because it's essential. If people do not use the restroom, the toilets, some people could die. It's that essential. You know, when you talk about characteristics of living things, you talk about excretion. So anyone that doesn't use the toilet is as good as dead. It's a problem. People have an operation and they need to use the toilet for a certain progress to be made. So toilets are truly essential, and we need to give it the pride of place that it deserves.
The pride of place it deserves.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about the theme of this year's observation. The theme is toilets, a place for peace. Can you explain the significance of this year's theme?
This year's theme is very significant because in the ideal situation, a toilet is a place where you can reflect, where you can refresh, you know, in the normal situation. And because of this, if you notice in most hospitality facilities and in banks, the ambience of the toilet is not just basic. They've taken it a notch higher. So the ambience is there, the fragrance is there, you have flowers, so that you can do your business with dignity and look forward to it. Some people even reflect in the restroom, get great ideas, and come out. You know, so it is quite significant. It is a place of peace, a place to refresh, a place to reflect. So it is appropriate.
Now, still talking about the theme. One of the most when human goals and aspirations are being discussed, I think somewhere top on that list is world peace. So peace is significant. People talk about peace a lot. I mean, we have a lot of strife in the world, really. I mean, no doubt humanity can do with a lot more peace, no doubt about that. Whether on a global scale or on a national scale, or even in communities where we have strife and disagreement and all that, or even in people's personal lives. But when the subject matter of peace is discussed, I don't often hear people talk about that in correlation with toilets. So, come on. I mean, peace, toilets.
If someone doesn't realize the importance of something, they will not highlight it. But for the United Nations to set aside this day, that shows how important it is. Now, someone eats, and if they need to use the restroom, the toilets, and it's not available, they're uncomfortable. They can't function properly. So, peace and toilets is critical. You can have communities dragging over land. If a toilet is there, it can be a place of peace. So toilets are important. We cannot overemphasize it. And clean water and sanitation, it's goal number 6 on the Sustainable Development Goals. It is important for us to have toilets, clean water, clean toilets, not just toilets, because sometimes you go to the toilets and you rush out because you can't use it. So clean toilets are essential. They are essential.
No, don't mind that it seems like I'm overstretching this, but I really can't help it at this point. But this might be my last question on that. Are you saying that I'm less, or I'm likely to have less strife in my life if I have access to a clean toilet?
To an extent, yes. Because if you have a clean toilet, whenever you can read a book there, you can do other things there, not just the act. There's so many other things that could be done there. I know people who get ideas, great ideas, they call it the White House, to give it. So it's not, it should be more. We should give it more. It's an essential right.
Yes.
Like we discussed before now. It should be given the same pride of place education and health have. Because when there are no toilets, you have the situation people are doing open defecation, which is a major problem. It has its own effects. It gets into the food cycle. You have people coming down with cholera and all of that. So clean toilets are essential.
Just a moment. You said it should be given the same, I'm paraphrasing you now, the same pride of place as education and health.
Yes.
Now, I totally or immediately get its correlation or connection to health, and maybe we'll discuss that also later on, but I get that. How do you compare access to clean toilets with education? Are you saying that toilets and education are at par?
More or less so. A child who goes to school and needs to use the restroom and does not have access to a restroom can't function, can't learn, because they'll be uncomfortable. So having a clean toilet and the child is able to go in and come out is essential. And as children, we teach them basic toilet habits, sanitation habits, and they learn from small. So if they do not have it at that stage, when they grow up, whatever they learned growing up is what they will continue. It took COVID to ensure that people wash their hands all the time. It was that important. We don't need the world to stop for us to know how important toilets, water, sanitation are to us. So we need to give it that pride of place. There are statistics showing how many children die due to lack of access to clean water and sanitation. So we should give it that.
Now, I don't know if we have any data on how many children die due to lack of access to education or quality education. But I have a feeling that if most people were asked, I don't know, just a feeling, I could be wrong. I mean, I've not conducted any research on that. But I have a feeling that if most people were asked now which they would choose, access to quality education or access to a clean toilet, I think most people might be prone to picking access to quality education. Are you suggesting that would be a wrong choice?
It would not be a wrong choice because it is assumed that access to quality education should take into consideration access to clean toilets. It is assumed that quality education, there will be proper provision for toilets. That is an assumption, and in normal standards, it should take that into consideration.
All right. Now, still talking about this year's theme, key messages from this year's observation of World Toilet Day. The toilets are also a place for protection and a place for progress. And this is according to the United Nations, by the way. How do toilets accomplish this? How do they accomplish progress and how do they protect people?
Okay. A toilet is an enclosure in the normal circumstance. You are enclosed, it's a safe space. Now, progress, because you are on your own, you have time to think, you have time to reflect, you have time to do whatever you think you want to do in that space. And so you're all alone, there's solitude. So you can think, you can imagine, you can create, itemize, you can even read if it's yours and people are not waiting and asking you to come out. So when you come out with the ideas you have from there and you put it pen to paper and you work out what you want to do, it can actually lead to progress. So it's a place of peace, a place of protection and progress.
Are you suggesting people spend more time in toilets?
Depending on what works for
than
you.
they would normally?
It depends on what works for you.
Okay.
Some people go there to meditate. They go there to be alone because there's so much happening in the office, in the house, everywhere. Your attention is needed. But when you're in the restroom, in the toilets, people let you be until you come out. So depending on what works for you, if you know that that's a place of inspiration, a place of reflection, a place of rest, you will spend more time. You will give it the time you need, and then you come out. Some people get their ideas. They're taking a shower or doing whatever. So when you know where your ideas come from and your progress comes from, you will work with what works for you.
How can access to a proper toilet change a person's life?
Okay, it can change a person's life in different ways. Okay, if you're used to a clean toilet, clean, refreshing, you get your ideas, you sing. Some people do their exercise there, depending on the size, the space. You would always want to use it. But if you have access to a toilet that is not clean, you just want to jump out. So it affects the quality of life that you live, and it affects your mind because you have an impression when you're going there. If you know it's going to be clean, you're looking forward to it. But if you know it's not going to be clean, you want to rush out. So your experience in the toilets can impact on the kind of life you live.
What challenges do people face in areas with inadequate sanitation facilities?
In such areas, there's a lot of aggression. Someone is in there and someone is asking, come out. I want to use a bathroom. I want to take a shower. I want to do this. So there's a lot of aggression in such places because someone is not done and someone else wants to use it. And then depending on how pressed the person who is outside is, they will need to look for alternatives, which brings about issues like open defecation and personal issues. It can stir up strife because if someone is rushing to go to work and the other person is taking time and all of that, so they need to work around it. Now, someone needs to be at work by 7, so by 5 o'clock, they're lining up, so they'll find other ways to meet up whatever they need to do using the bathrooms and all of that.
Are there other challenges faced by people with challenges or problems with access to proper sanitation besides aggression or aggressive tendencies?
There would be others. There sure would be others, but these are the ones I could readily think of.
Maybe health challenges?
Oh, definitely. Health challenges. Some people come up with pile and other things. And people who do not have access to clean toilets, like I said, open defecation. Open defecation comes back. It's a cycle. You get people with cholera and all of that as a result of improper, it gets into the water, it gets into our food, not properly washed. So whatever goes around comes around. It's sanitation and water are essential. And clean toilets, we cannot have enough of it. We cannot have enough of it.
What are some innovative solutions that can be implemented to improve sanitation in the Niger-Delta?
Okay, a quick one could be provision of mobile toilets in public spaces. That way you have a quick one. You don't have to wait to build. While they're waiting to build, you can have public mobile toilets there, have water there. And then we train people on the importance of proper sanitation. You have some people, because they are not used to water and sanitation, they're used to these other methods. Even when they have access to clean toilets, they still prefer to use what they're used to. So enlightenment is important. The benefits of using water and clean toilets and keeping it clean for the next person is essential.
Why is that a problem, really, especially in our environment and maybe other climes as well? Why do persons have a challenge with keeping it clean for the next person? And like you mentioned, I mean, you go into some places, offices or wherever it is, and you find signs or notices put up there. So you have signs that read, for example, flush after use. And you would think that any normal thinking adult ought to know that. I mean, if you go into a toilet and you find it clean, it's very likely somebody went in there before you and kept the place as they met it. Why do some of us have a challenge with replicating that, keeping it clean for the next person, even though it's an ideal place, it was clean already, it was perfect, to give you peace, to protect you, help you progress in life and all of that. Maybe we come up with the next big thing. And then you come out of that place leaving it in shambles for the next person.
Okay, I could quickly say there are two reasons. One, the person may not be used to it. So if they're not used to it, we're assuming. So I think there should be more directions, because sometimes I've encountered someone in the restroom asking, how do we use this? It's not that they haven't used it, because modernization is also happening in that field. So there are some toilets that have sensors. They flush automatically, and some are used to the hand press. Some, they're different. So in addition to that, maybe they could put indicators to help, just to help in case someone does not see someone to ask. So the assumption is they may not be used to it. And I like to give people benefit of the doubt. Education can never be enough. So they can put an arrow, flush here, it would help. Because sometimes people feel shy. And maybe they were not used to it. They're used to the flinging method, and now they meet water. They don't know where to press. There's no one to ask. So more directions could be given. That's what I think.
Are we overthinking toilet? And what I mean is this, especially with the infusion of technology. And I'm glad you mentioned that. You mentioned sensors and the likes of it. Now, not too long ago, it was simple. Toilets were very simple. There was no complexity to it. You go in there, you do your business, you have the flushing thing over there, you depress, or you push it down, it flushes, you're done with your business, you leave. But now you get into toilets, and they look like an IT expo fair.
I like that.
And you have this, and you have automatic this, you have automatic dispensers, dispenser for soap, automatic dispenser for lotion, even the faucet where you can wash your hand. You have to stand somewhere, wave something sometimes before water comes out. I mean, are we overdoing it? Shouldn't toilets just be simple, easy, no fuss, no muss, and people get on with their business. It is the infusion of technology and toilets causing more problem than it is solving.
Well, yes and no. As we advance, it's good for technology to go around, and we want to give people an experience that they can come back to.
Really?
Yes. Going to the restroom should be something enjoyable. It should be an experience you're looking forward to. So I mentioned earlier when I was talking with you, I went to a restroom some time back and I met some Gen Zs taking pictures because the ambience was something else. So a lot of thought is going into toilets, especially in the hospitality industry, in banks and all of that. So people can look forward to it. So the technology, it's good. It's good, but there should be a balance. And I know that there are some toilets that the water that is used to flush is hot. It's hot, so you feel the heat and it's, so the technology is good, but there should be a balance. And then, like I said, indicators to help people to catch up with the tech, the tech toilets, so that the goal is not is achieved.
How can communities get involved in promoting better sanitation practices?
Communities can do this through advocacy, information, and building more toilets, especially in open areas. So a community has an event, maybe they're using the primary school field. They may not want to use the toilets that the children use. They should have toilets that they can use other than the children's toilets and provide mobile toilets. So sanitation is key. If people are taught and told that, oh, this is the advantage of using the toilet, this is the disadvantage, it brings illness, sickness, and then when it's used, everywhere is clean, people are healthy, development, peace, I think people would rather use the toilets, and ensure their dignity and their privacy is maintained.
How about communities that are, I would say, maybe vastly in the lower rung of the ladder as far as the social or economic scale is concerned? If you go to maybe more upscale communities or environments, you don't really have much of a challenge, or conversation around access to clean toilets and sanitation. They're there, like the place you mentioned a while ago, where you saw the Gen Zs and all of that. There isn't much of a conversation going on there, but we usually have these conversations, and I think they're needed more in those areas that are economically challenged, so to speak. And as you described a while ago, that's why you have people line up as early as 5 a.m. in a residential building to take turns to use the convenience, so to speak. So in those places where access to finance or the economy is a challenge, should it be priority? I mean, people have other things they need to do. They need to feed. They need to put clothes on their body even. Should providing toilets be top on their list?
It should. Toilets are as important as having a cell phone. You can't function if you don't use the toilet. You can't function properly if you don't use a toilet. So the priority we give to having a phone, we should give that same priority to water and sanitation. For it to be goal 6 out of the 17 goals, you should know how important it is. So every living organism needs to excrete to function. So a safe space is important for that. And until we give it priority, we may still face some of the issues we are facing. It will take time, but let's start with one step at a time. It is important to have clean toilets that are safe, that are, accessible,
It is Canvas and Niger-Delta Rendezvous brought to you by SPDC. We are discussing toilets, a place for peace. Yeah, you better believe it. In commemoration of World Toilet Day this year. My guest is environmental biologist Tarela Kia. We go for a break. We'll return in a moment. The conversation will continue. Do please stay with us.
yellow and black markers indicate pipeline and flow line right-of-way boundaries. Your activity could impact on the buried high-pressure hydrocarbon pipelines and flow lines, leading to possible leaks and explosion. Please keep off. Do not engage in sand mining or any form of excavation, pipeline vandalism, oil theft, and bush burning within pipeline and flow line right-of-way. Do not farm, trade, or locate any business on pipeline and flow line right-of-way. It is against the law to apportion land, sell, or build on pipeline and flow line right-of-way. Maintain a setback distance of at least 30 meters or about 100 feet from the right-of-way boundaries always. We care for your safety and that of the environment.
This message is brought to you by the Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria Limited, SPDC, operator of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, Total Energies, and Ajib Joint Venture.
Welcome back. Still canvass the Niger-Delta Roundtable. I'm Dyer, and yes, we are discussing toilets. This program is brought to you by SPDC. A reminder, and the topic for this episode, toilets, a place for peace. Incidentally, also, it is this year's theme for World Toilet Day. My guest is Tarela Kia. Tarela, you're welcome again.
Thank you.
In the first half of this conversation, you've described in no small measure how crucial, how important, how life-changing, or even life-saving toilets are. I mean, so important, we should rank them on the same level with our cell phones and even education, according to you. Mm-hmm. If it's as important as education, and we place a lot of roles, significant roles on governments when it comes to education, that informs my next question then. What roles do governments play in ensuring access to sanitation for all?
Government plays a key role in ensuring access to sanitation for all. They hold the yam, they hold the knife, they have more money to do this. And they are the key stakeholders to drive it. Now, that said, there's also the role for individuals, private sector, non-governmental organizations. I know that the United Nations plays a role in that. UNICEF assists, and the UN bodies in Nigeria and other NGOs also play their role. But government is critical because it's their responsibility.
What exactly are what specifically are their roles?
Making sure that we have toilets in public spaces is their role. It is their role. Water and sanitation, because it ensures good health. In every school that is built, there should be toilets. In every health center, there should be toilets. In every government facility, there should be toilets. Even in general spaces, like I know that there are public toilets around where people can go when they need to. So it is their role. It is their role.
How can don't mind, if I keep on with this, but how exactly can government ensure this? How exactly it's their role? They need to ensure it, and I totally get that. But what exactly must or should governments at various levels do or be doing to ensure this, to effectively play this role?
Okay, to ensure this, they need to put it on the budget and they need to ensure it is done. They also need to have sanitary officers go around to ensure that they are being used and to teach people, when necessary, how to use them. Highlighting the benefits of the use and all of that. So it is important, very important.
And policy making, no doubt, is an integral part of government function anywhere and everywhere in the world. Are there any successful policies or programs that we can learn from that may have been implemented somewhere else in the world, as far as ensuring access to proper sanitation, hygiene, and even toilets as well?
Around the world, you have success stories, even within Nigeria. We have the WASH program, United Nations Development Program supports. And even the Federal Ministry of Water Resources has several programs that are ongoing. So they're making progress. All we need to do is improve on those programs. And we have non-governmental organizations building toilets in different places. I know at the Port Harcourt Airport, I saw a toilet facility built by Rotary. That's their own contribution. So individuals, governments, non-governmental organizations, we all have a role to play. And many hands make light work. So we can all play our roles for the general good of everyone.
The WASH initiative you mentioned a while ago, could you elaborate on that? What exactly is that?
That is water and sanitation. So in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goal number 6, which says everyone has a right to clean water and sanitation by the year 2030. We're in 2024, 6 years away. So we need to intensify and ensure that more people have access to clean toilets and water.
Now, you mentioned the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now, which of these goals are related to sanitation?
Goal 6, water and sanitation.
Okay, so it's just that one.
Yes, that one. But that one, most of the goals are related. In as much as Goal 6 is for water and sanitation, it still interconnects with other goals.
Could you elaborate on Goal 6?
Goal 6 talks about everyone having access to water and sanitation by the year 2030. These goals were set up in 2015. We're 6 years away from the target, but we're not yet there. So we need to intensify providing water, clean water, access to clean water, and sanitation at all levels for people to use water, use the toilets, and keep them clean for the next person.
How are we doing with respect to Goal 6, especially within the Niger-Delta? How are we faring thus far?
We're not
How
doing
close
well.
are we?
We're very far. Very, very far. Very far. Very, very far.
Why are we very far?
That is what it is. We haven't we like to do lastminute.com, but I think we should change our attitude in that aspect because our health is connected to this goal. And our wealth is connected to this goal. If you're not healthy, you cannot go for business, you cannot go to school. So we need to intensify more investment, advocacy, and education in this area, as well as building the toilets is needed.
You talked about attitudes as being, you said we need to change our attitudes with respect to achieving Goal 6 by 2030.
Yeah.
What attitudes do we need to change? And what are the challenges, in effect what I'm asking is, what are the challenges that are preventing us from getting close or even achieving Goal 6?
Okay, for Goal 6, it will surprise you there are some places they don't even have access to water. So if you don't have access to water, what do? Right now, as we speak, flooding has even come in some areas in the Niger-Delta. Like I know certain areas in River State and Bayelsa are already covered with water. People are being evacuated. So in such areas, what do? We need to think outside the box and provide alternative solutions for these people. So the attitudes, they need to give it priority attention. Priority, it should be a matter of urgent public importance. Toilets should be provided. Water should be provided. Sanitation. Like I mentioned earlier, during COVID, people who would not normally wash their hands were forced to wash their hands. You won't go into a bank or into any facility without washing your hands. We don't need to be under tension to do the right thing. It doesn't have to be, you must do this to do this. We need to imbibe it as a culture and grow with it.
Let's talk about that now. How do we imbibe in this and making it into a culture? So what I'm asking also is, how can we accelerate progress towards achieving universal access to toilets by 2030? You've described how the deficits we have already. We've got 6 years to go before 2030. We're not doing very well, if I'm to paraphrase your words a while ago. How do we accelerate progress?
Okay.
Emphasis on accelerating progress.
Accelerating progress.
Yes.
Building toilets, providing water, and teaching them how to use these toilets. And by the way, we can generate power from the waste, biogas. So that's another benefit. So we can use the waste from the toilets to generate power. I know that there's some areas where there's no power. Some states have not had power for 3 months. So not just providing it, we can make it a source of power. I know that there's some areas in Ghana where they use that to generate power. We can also do that here. So not just providing it, it can also provide power for other things. And if we look at it from that angle, it's going to be beneficial, not just by providing sanitation, but also providing power for our people.
So what you're saying is, the fact it could serve as an alternative power solution or power source could serve as an incentive for us to build infrastructure, because building infrastructure means first we have to have toilets, and then of course that will serve as the first collection mechanism, if you will, to maybe some central location where we could harness the potentials for power there.
Yes.
Okay, all right, I get that, I suppose. But the question does arise, would we get enough fuel? Now, for any power station, you need enough fuel to power the turbines or whatever it is, the station, to provide the power. Would the waste from the toilets provide enough fuel to power stations?
It will. It will. I noticed lately that people are building houses and they're not building soakaways. Gutters have turned to soakaways.
Really?
Yes. If you observe going round, gutters have turned to soakaways. You see food items, you see all kinds of things. So if we generate whatever waste is generated is sent to a central tank, it will amaze you how much power will be generated. So we need to really look into that. We really need to look into that, because I have observed, especially in the city of Port Harcourt, that some people don't build soakaways. They just direct everything to the gutters, which is wrong. That is a health hazard waiting to happen. You pass by the streets, there's no rain, but there's water in the gutters. Where's the water coming from? So we really need to work on that.
What can individuals do to support the cause for better sanitation?
Change begins with me. You can only do as much as you can do. You do your own portion, and the next person does their own portion. So you keep your toilets clean, you provide water and sanitation where you are, to as many as you can provide for. You ensure if you're building, you have your soakaway, and then we can all try out this biogas. Now that we're having power issues, try it out, and let's see how it goes. So you do your part, I do my part. The little drops of water will make an ocean, and we'll eventually get to where we need to get to.
What do you mean that by we can all try it out? Is that an individual thing? I thought, the issue of biogas or power generation, I thought that was at a higher level, like a government scale level.
If we're waiting for government, it takes a long time. But you and I are government, because when there's no light, you turn on your generator.
So what I'm wondering is, so how do we, I get the generator part. Maybe I go out to a shop someplace, an electronics store, and I buy a generator and I take it home. So that's me servicing my power needs. How can an individual employ biogas in this sense, vis-a-vis the connection with toilets? How do I do that?
Okay, so now estates can do things in collaboration. A group of people or in an area, that can be sorted. There are one or two people I know that are doing that. I could make some more inquiries and see how we can take it to the next level, because we need that backup. With the rate of fuel, we also need an alternative power source. Solar, biogas. Biogas will go a long way. So every day the production, the contents that are going in there can be used. So If we make that central collection center, we can work with governments to make it happen.
Wouldn't that be incredibly, financially intensive? Is that something that individuals can handle on their own?
Individuals on a small scale, but we'll also need to work with government and other organizations that are willing to partake in this, because at the end of the day, the actions or inactions of one person affect everybody.
How can listeners get involved in World Toilet Day activities? In other words, are there activities at all observing World Toilet Day? What are these activities? Where do they take place? And how can individuals get involved?
Okay, activities for World Toilet Day, individuals can get involved on their own, get a group of people, teach them, show them, and then you put your activities online on the World Toilet Day page of the United Nations. So basically, you can teach people how to use a toilet, the benefits of using a toilet. Water, sanitation, you wash your hands, you keep it clean for the next person. These basic things, as simple as they are, they can go a long way. So we can do that with schools, we can do that in our communities, we can do that in our companies. The pride of place we give to an activity is the pride of place it will have. So as simple as it is, it's an essential. For me, using the toilet is a game changer. Everybody uses a toilet. It's not for the rich, it's not for the poor, it's for everybody. So everybody needs to know how to use a toilet, keep it clean for the next person, keep the environment clean and safe, and so we can avoid some diseases like cholera and all of that.
On a regional level, the Niger-Delta, and maybe by extension on a national scale as well, talking the country Nigeria, we embark on a lot of orientation exercises. You have those such as respect for the currency, for the naira. I know we used to have that years ago, which appears to have been brought back again because of what is assumed to be all what is considered an abuse, a resurgence, if you will, of the abuse of the naira notes. So there's a lot of efforts being made to conscientize Nigerians, including Niger-Deltans, against abusing the naira note. Do you think that this issue is such, important that on the national level, even we need to embark on a nationwide orientation campaign to sensitize people again on the need or what safe practices are or best practices are as far as toilet usage and sanitation?
I think it is. Considering the statistics, I think it is. And it's something that affects everybody. So we should. So it begins with one person. Even for this year, activities will come up. They'll be publicized. And
if you had to design such a campaign, what would it be? What would be the essence or the constitution of that campaign? What would it do? What would it say? What would be the essence? What form would it take? What would be the process?
There are various formats it could take. It could be a walk. You could use a theme, make T-shirts, and have a group of people walk, take pictures, have a talk. You can talk with students. You can talk at the workplace. You can talk even in the churches. And then you take the pictures, you post, and you ensure that people take the message home and people implement. And a sub-theme could be keeping it clean for the next person. That's important. Peace, is important. So if you have peace, you will share peace. But if you have troubles, you will share troubles. So when you know that the toilets are a place of peace, a place of protection, you will ensure that you pass on that message to the next person. And you can refresh, you can reflect in the toilet. So that's just one of the ways.
We are in the month of November. World Toilet Day is this month, November 9th specifically. So this episode will run, pardon me?
19th.
Pardon?
19th.
Oh, pardon me. Okay, all right. So World Toilet Day will hold sometime in the month, and I'm sure this episode will run sometime within the month of November as well. So as we observe World Toilet Day, what's your message to everyone who is watching or listening to this right now?
Toilets are a place of peace and a place of protection. So let's keep it clean for the next person. You can also reflect and refresh in the toilets. So make it a place of peace and a place of protection. It is everybody's human right to have access to a clean and safe toilet. Thank you.
And that's a wrap on this edition of Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable, brought to you by SPDC. We have discussed, in commemoration of World Toilet Day, the topic, toilets, a place for peace. And that incidentally also happens to be the theme of this year's observance. Thank you for listening. My guest has been environmental scientist Tarela Kia. Tarela, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Adedaya Bishop. Thank you once again for joining us for this edition of Canvas, Niger-Delta Roundtable. Toilets are a place for peace and keep it clean and safe for the next person as well. Remember to flush. Very, very key. And catch this podcast and other episodes on our various social media channels. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of the day.